What's up everybody, I am Jaspreet Singh and welcome to the Minority Mindset. If you made $200,000 a year, would you consider yourself upper class or lower class financially? Well, I think that's kind of a skewed question because it depends on where you live. We got this question from KO Investing. Well, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement that says, my wife and I make $200,000 a year combined in the Bay Area and we have no kids, yet we are considered lower class here. Sad face. At first glance, you're probably thinking, what the heck? How could you consider yourself lower class with $200,000 a year in income with no kids? I mean, what can your expenses be? Private jets every weekend? But let's take a look at the numbers because remember, it's not how much money you make that matters, it's how much money you keep. So let's start by looking at taxes. Over here, I got this federal income tax calculator pulled up and let's fill in the household income. We have $200,000 and you are filing married. So in 2018, your federal income taxes plus FICA are right around $52,000. So you're paying around a fourth of your income straight to the federal government. But that's not the only tax you have to pay. Don't forget, you have to pay state taxes. And because you live in the Bay Area or the San Francisco area, you have to pay California state taxes. And if you didn't know, California has some of the highest state taxes in the country. You have to pay an additional $15,444 in state taxes because you live in California. So your total income taxes are just under $70,000, meaning you are left with around $131,000 after paying your taxes. And with this $130,000 you have in the bank, you feel like you're lower class. If you have $130,000 in your account after paying your taxes every single year and you feel like you're lower class, there are three potential reasons why. The first reason is because everybody else around you is super wealthy. Remember, so you feel like you're lower class because everybody else is making $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year. So that's the first reason. The second reason is your expenses are super high. And as we know and we'll see, California expenses are no joke. And third, your spending sucks. Either your expenses are super high or you're spending too much money on things you don't need. But let's take a look at California, or let's take a look at the San Francisco area specifically. I pulled up the San Francisco city website. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you see here what the poverty or low income guidelines are in San Francisco. And here in green, it says the San Francisco Housing Authority and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the HUD, state that in California, or rather San Francisco, the low income limits are $82,200 for an individual and $117,400 for a family of four in 2018. That means if you make $117,000 as a family and you have two kids, so you're one person, you're married and you have two kids and your family brings in $117,000, you are considered low income by the city of San Francisco. Wow. That's really crazy to think about because San Francisco is like the tech giant of the world, right? And so if you went to this great school and you got this computer science degree and you got this tech job and you're still new in the field, so you're making $100,000 a year and you have a family, you could be struggling to put food on the table if you have average expenses because you are considered low income by the city of San Francisco. And you might be asking for government assistance. It's not hard to see why people feel like they're struggling financially in San Francisco because one, your state taxes are so high in addition to government taxes, so you get to keep less money. And second, on top of that, expenses are so high in San Francisco. Over here, it says that the median one-bedroom rent, one bedroom in San Francisco is around $3,700 a month. This is just a small one-bedroom apartment. I wanted to see this for myself, so I pulled up Zillow here and I got San Francisco as the city, and I am going to change this. If you're making $200,000 a year, you probably don't want to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, especially if you're married. You probably want a 2-bedroom apartment so you can have something a little bit bigger so your friends can come and stay. So let's put in a 2-bedroom apartment. Let's see, I'll put houses and townhomes. I'm open. I just want a place to live. And let's take a look at this. Wow, okay, so the first results are, well, I don't need 4 bedrooms, so I don't want to pay $10,000 a month. 2 bedrooms, $43.99. Okay, kind of expensive. 2 bedrooms, $54.47. 2 bedrooms, $54.15. 2 bedrooms, $5,040. 2 bedrooms, $6,210. Finally, got something a little bit under $5,000 for 2 bedrooms. But yeah, you can see that, oh, finally, we found a 2-bedroom apartment for under $4,000. You can see that the cost of living in California is very, very high. I mean, everything is at least $3,500 if you want a 2-bedroom, easily $4,000, and a lot of them are over $5,000. And you got, if you want 4 bedrooms, you're looking at $10,000 plus. So you can start to see why somebody or a couple making $200,000 a year could feel like they're lower class, because I mean, if you want to look and feel like your peers who are living in nice places, you're gonna want to do the same thing. And so now you're paying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month in rent, and that doesn't even begin to include utilities or food or going out or anything else. But one thing that I find really, really interesting is right here. The average salary in San Francisco, or let's start with this. The median salary in San Francisco is $96,000 for households and $74,000 for individuals, while the average salary is $137,000, and for individuals it's $103,000. The reason this average is so much higher, it says right here, is because you have a lot of billionaires and very wealthy people in San Francisco. So if you add up the billionaires and the people that are more working class, the data gets skewed upward. And you wanted a decent place to live, you're gonna be paying most of your income to your rent, to your landlord. At that point, you should really start asking yourself, is it really worth it for me to live here in San Francisco or wherever where the cost of living is so high, but if I move just a little bit away, I could afford a much better lifestyle for myself, put more money away to my investments, more money for my future, and more money for my savings. These are things you really should be considering if you feel like the reason you can't build wealth is because of where you live. Is it really worth that location? And if you really love the location, you love San Francisco or wherever, leave for a few years, start building that wealth, and then move back once you have built yourself and can afford to live there. NerdWallet has this pretty cool cost of living calculator where you can come in and say where you live. So I wrote in San Francisco, California. You can say where you want to live and you write in your pre-tax household income. So putting this information in, saying I make $200,000 in California, you can see how much money you would need somewhere else to live the same lifestyle. If you just moved to LA or Long Beach, you would only need to make $148,000 to afford the same lifestyle you do in San Francisco. If you moved into Miami area, you would only have to make $115,000. I know, only $115,000, but relative, you would only be making $115,000 to afford the same lifestyle. So you can come here, play with this to see how different cities work. Look, if you feel like the city you live in is holding you back from building your wealth, then you need to move. Go to a new city where the cost of living is much lower while you can maintain a similar income, and now you have this extra money every month, and you can take this money and invest it in yourself, invest it in your future, and invest it into things that will build you wealth. It can be scary, but just because you move for a little while doesn't mean you can't come back. Now that you've heard my thoughts on this, I want to know what you think. Is it worthwhile for somebody to move out of a high expense city or state so they can build their wealth, or should they continue to find a way to survive where they live currently? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.